Some guns in Call of Duty are more than meta, they're overused. Today I'll be covering Call of Duty guns that are way too overused. Welcome back to Game Shame, let's get into the video. Number 10, Growl 5.56. At the moment, the current Warzone meta has almost every player using the Growl. It's an absolute laser at both close and long range engagements. The low recoil on the weapon makes it one of, if not the best assault rifle to use in the game right now in both multiplayer and Warzone. It has a really cool tracer round pack in the in-game store called the Prototype Alpha for those wondering why they keep getting killed by purple lights. It's not a surprise that it's overused considering how good it is at the moment, but it'll be interesting if the gun ever gets nerfed in the future. Number 9, FR 5.56. The FR 5.56 is a fairly similar to the FAMAS in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It's not extremely strong, but packs its punch depending where the player hits an enemy. Shots fired above the chest almost always result in one burst or two burst kills, and the weapon has a pretty low recoil. The iron sights on the weapon aren't the greatest, but considering the number of attachments in the gunsmith, it's worth messing around with different setups to find something that works for the best of different engagements. Number 8, M4A1. When Modern Warfare was released in 2019, players quickly found that the best and most consistent assault rifle in the game was the M4A1. With the right attachments, it had the lowest amount of recoil with the highest amount of damage for player in competitive matches. For some time, it was pretty much the overused gun in the game until the Growl was added and some other guns got tuned a bit to make it a lot more viable. It's still a solid choice and quite overused in regular multiplayer. Number 7, PKM. Light machine guns are kind of neglected a lot in Modern Warfare multiplayer and Warzone. They definitely aren't as great as most of the assault rifles and submachine guns, but still do a ton of damage and have different attachments and options to compensate for their recoil. The best thing about LMGs is like the PKM is that the huge magazine that makes taking down squads without reloading fairly easy even easier. The PKM works pretty great on some of the bigger maps in multiplayer as well, but doesn't perform very well in close range encounters. Number 6, RPG. The RPG-7 isn't used a ton in multiplayer. It's usually only used by players looking to complete specific challenges or looking to anger players attempting to get a tactical nuke. In Warzone, it's extremely useful with the number of vehicles and helicopters available on the map. It can also be used to finish off kills in a building or to get rid of a team camping in a room. Number 5, RAM-7. The RAM-7 is pretty similar to the TAR-21 from MW2. It does a really good damage job and has a consistent recoil with the right attachments. The RAM-7 can be unlocked through challenges, and it is one of the best assault rifles in the game. Rivaling the M4A1 and FR 5.56, it's definitely not as good as the Growl and may not be the best for Warzone, but is a great choice for most multiplayer maps, as well as competitive modes. Number 4, HDR. The HDR is often used over the AX50 because it has much less bullet drop. However, it's a lot slower than the AX50, which performs a lot better at close range. The thermal attachment is great for Warzone, as well as any scope that can zoom in on targets. Number 3, AX50. The AX50 is kind of like the HDR's younger brother. It's a lot faster than the HDR when it comes to close range fights, and does it look a bit cooler than the weird wider gun. It's great with a thermal scope, as well as any scope that can zoom in on targets, and works perfectly in multiplayer for anyone wanting to quickscope. The only downside of the weapon, of course, is the bullet drop, which is much harder to predict compared to the HDR. Number 2, 725. The 725 is one of the most annoying weapons to deal with in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. When the game was first released, the 725 had a ridiculous amount of range and power, but was toned down quite a bit through updates. It still is quite a pain to deal with on smaller maps such as Shipment and Rust, considering it's almost a guaranteed death if the player runs into someone camping in a corner with it. It's not quite on the level of the Model 1887 from Call of Duty MW2, but still overused. Number 1, Kar98K. The Kar98 is starting to gain some popularity with fans, considering it's currently one of the best marksman rifles in the game that has the option of going in without a scope. It's also a very popular weapon in other games such as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and COD World War II. The iron sights are great for quickscoping, and while the weapon wasn't packed as much of a punch as sniper rifles like the AX50 and HDR, it's still very powerful. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.